Welcome to Intro to Password Management using LastPass. I know that we have a number of our clients on the phone today, so thanks very much for joining us. And for those of you that maybe don't know who I am, are going to be watching the recording, I'm Laura Leist, and I am the founder of Eliminate Chaos. And today, Robert Leist is going to be joining us and doing most of this presentation. So I wanted to just take a minute or so and introduce Rob and give you a little bit of his background and why he's qualified to teach all of this information to us. Then we're going to take a quick poll, and then we'll move into the presentation. So Rob has been working in the IT industry for almost 30 years. He's been with Eliminate Chaos for over 15, and he works with our clients every day remotely to do Office 365 consulting, email migrations, hosted exchange, disaster planning recovery, network infrastructure, and helping our clients with wireless access points, along with spending a lot of time helping our clients get their LastPass set up and working properly. So he is going to be sharing a lot of that information with us today. And before we dive into the presentation, I'm going to have Rob go ahead and bring up the first polling question that we have. Or I should say it'll be the only polling question we have for you today. So if you can see the question below, go ahead and put in your answer, and then we'll take a look at the results.
Still waiting on a few more people to answer.
Yeah, well, only one has responded so far.
Well, that's all you see on your side.
Oh, it is? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I've got 75% of answers.
Okay.
25% went to go get a cup of coffee or a glass of water, probably.
Or maybe some wine. Okay, someone said I can't submit it. A couple people said they weren't able to submit.
The little dots.
You should just be able to click in the box.
Well, the poll's closed right now. That's why.
Okay.
It took too long to answer.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we'll go ahead and have Rob display the results.
Okay. So it looks like most people are not using anything. So that's great because you're in the right place to learn about it. So that means this will be super relevant to you guys. A couple people using LastPass, Excel spreadsheet, or other password management. Okay. All right. Great information.
All right. So I wanted to just make a quick comment that if you have questions during the program, to go ahead and just put them in the chat while Rob is talking. I will do my best to answer them. If I can't, I will create a list for Rob and get that over to him, and then at the end we'll be answering those questions, and then we'll have some time at the end for some live Q&A as well. So I guess, Rob, let's go ahead and get started.
All right. Thanks, Laura. All right. So I thought it would be important to answer the question, well, why do you need a password manager? Let me go ahead and finish sharing my screen there. the reality is that because back 20 years ago, we didn't log into a myriad of websites. Now, today, everything is in the cloud. So, we all recognize that we have multiple logins. Unfortunately, because of the fact that data breaches throughout all these organizations are so prevalent, it's extremely important, if not paramount, to now use individual passwords for every single site. And in essence, compartmentalizing all your digital identity so that if there is a breach, it stops there. They can't take those credentials and turn around and take them someplace else and expand upon your data loss. So that's first and foremost. Also, disaster preparedness, as far as being able to keep all this information consolidated and digitally and literally at your fingertips. If, God forbid, something happens to your home and your password book burns up or you can't get to your Excel spreadsheet. We've actually had this happen. We had a guest at our house. She lost her phone. She only had a spreadsheet at home, and I believe, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, I remember something to the effect of her neighbor climbing in her window to access her computer. So
Yes,
you don't really want that to happen.
that happened.
Did she climb in the window or something like that?
Her neighbor climbed in the window
Yeah.
and retrieved passwords for her.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. So to be prepared ahead of time, especially like if you're in a foreign country or something. I mean, it's going to reduce your stress incredibly to be able to have access to this information. Additionally, there's just the features of the password management system that Laura is going to get into in further detail. Sharing, emergency access, sharing with family members. So it just, it kind of takes something that's generally stressful and very time consuming because you're constantly resetting passwords because you don't remember what you set them at. And then it just kind of takes all that out of your hands. Additionally, the system allows you to use long, strong passwords because you no longer need to actually remember the password. It's in the password manager, and you're just going to retrieve that credential. So, you can have a 20-character password. You don't have to worry about typing those in anymore because it's just not time consuming. And so it really strengthens your cybersecurity. And especially, I would say, on your email, it's so important today to have a system where you have a strong password on your email, because that really is your digital identity. If someone gets in your email, they literally can send password reset requests into your email that they've compromised, and they've got your identity. So, you really want to start there, if anywhere. And then Laura will go into, storing additional miscellaneous information as far as like passport info and things like that. So let me see if I can get my slide to go. There we go. Okay. The next question I thought I would answer quickly is it really secure? And this was the first and foremost question on my mind when I finally decided, because being in cybersecurity and I have to log into all my clients' systems all the time. Obviously maintaining a secure password system for me is important. I don't want any data breaches. So when I first started looking at LastPass, I was like, all right, my initial thing was, well, they're going to have my password and they've got the keys to the kingdom. Well, that's not true, actually. The way that they use the system, they never have access to your master password, nor can they actually figure it out. Because what they do is they take your password and then they use the password-based key derivation function, which essentially that's called salting. So it adds additional a hash, which is essentially just a really long, 128 character, key to your password and then that hash is combined. So it creates something that is super strong, super secure, and is just literally going to take a ton of mathematical computation in order to reverse. And every item in the vault is subject to individual encryption. So even if someone were to get access to your an item in there, they would have to decrypt them individually one at a time. And I mean, this would just be a ridiculous effort. So I feel very confident in the system and the security and the architecture of it. And so I'm not too concerned about that.
So while Rob's getting that set up, I'll just let you know that the vault is basically where all of your information in LastPass is stored, whether it's a password, a secure note, credit card information. All of that is going to be stored in what we refer to as the vault, or what LastPass refers to as the vault. So if you notice over here on the left-hand side of LastPass, you can see all of the different areas of LastPass. So I'm just going to go quickly through the list and give you a few ideas of what they are, maybe how to use them in the future if you're not already using the LastPass. So,
and also, more real quick, if you click the square box up in the top right hand corner, you can full screen your presentation to make it a little easier to see. So
okay, it didn't work
for you. Well, you can't. Everyone else can.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right. First one on the list is passwords. So the way that I think about this is a password. You have lots of passwords to things, but mostly passwords are going to be those items that you have a URL to, where you are signing into something on the computer. So where you're going to have a username and a password and maybe some notes about that. One of the things that you'll see when we open up the password is that there's a note section at the bottom, and that is a great place for you to store additional information about whatever that account is used for, or even your security questions. If you forget what your security questions are, you can store them there. The next section is what we call notes. And a note would be anything that doesn't necessarily have a login. So for example, maybe you want to keep a list of all of the different medicines that you're allergic to. So when you go to the doctor, you can pull it up and you can have a list. Or you could store your known traveler ID number there for, when you're leaving the country. If you're running a business, I use it for both business practices and personal. And so some of my notes also include storing my EIN, LNI, UBI numbers. I also am able to store highly sensitive information about our employees so that I can have that at my fingertips, but nobody else in the company would have access to that information. So there's lots of different ways that you can use the notes. The next area is called addresses. And an address card, this is not typically going to be a place where you're going to store just contact information for people. We all have other programs that do that.
Right.
What you're going to be storing here is what we like to call personal form fill information. So for example, you might put in your own address, so that when you are filling in address information on a website that you're shopping you don't have to fill out that information each time. Instead, what you're doing is you're selecting that address or that form fill, and it's filling in that information for you automatically. And I know Rob's going to demo that. We also have another address that we use for our business as well. So those are some ideas of how you can use the address area. Another way that I use the address area with my clients is to store important addresses of family members that in case of an emergency, because there is an emergency access feature on LastPass as well. And that would be a really good idea for you to have maybe important family information stored there. Then if we jump down to the next section under payment cards, what that really is a place for you to store the contents of all of your credit cards. And this is really going to serve two purposes for you. So one is when you want to buy something online and you don't want to get out the credit card anymore, you can literally go and select that credit card and it will fill in all of the information for you. I love this feature. It saves me so much time every day. When I used to have an office assistant and we needed to buy anything online, I always made her do it because I didn't want to spend my time filling credit card information in, and now I don't have that problem anymore. The other thing that this is really important for is that if your purse or wallet was to get lost or stolen, you could quickly call the numbers for any of those payment cards to get access to that information. Now, I'll tell you what I did recently. It is not like me to lose things very often. I like to think that I am pretty organized and practice what I preach, but for some reason, I left my Hawaiian MasterCard somewhere, and I called the location. It wasn't there. So I sat down in a chair while I was out somewhere, and I just went into LastPass. In the notes area of the payment card, I enter in phone numbers and other account information there so that on the off chance something happens, not only do I have all of my account information, but I have a phone number to call as well. So that came in very handy. And then the next section down is called a bank account. So that's, again, pretty self-explanatory, just a place for you to store banking information. And again, I would recommend that you store phone numbers as well. The next three areas are driver's license, passport, and insurance policies. Oh no, I'm sorry. Does Rob, I don't see social security cards on yours. I know I have it on mine.
Oh, well, I didn't. So there's one interesting thing to the vault is it doesn't show up on the side unless you actually create one.
Oh, all right. Well,
so if I create a social security,
all right, just put one in there really quick.
Yeah, then it shows up. See, now it's over there.
Okay. So in the driver's license, passports, and social security information, one of the things that I do is if I have a client that I'm working with and I'm going to track multiple driver's license numbers or passports or social security numbers for the family, I'll write the word social security number, social security in the note, in the little text box, and then I'll do a dash, and then I will put the individual person's name so that it all lines up. And when I type in the search box under the word social security, it pops all of those up in one place together. So if you are saving that information for more than just yourself, that would be just a little handy tip for you. Yeah. And then the next area going down is insurance policies. And under the insurance policy, so in my LastPass, I have, and I should just mention that Rob is working with what we call our demo vault. In my LastPass alone, I probably have, I don't know, several hundred entries, whether they're passwords or secure notes, but we have just a demo vault that we use for purposes of these presentations. But in my insurance policy, let's say that I have State Farm and I have them for an auto insurance and homeowners insurance and personal article policy. Every single policy has a different number. And when I set up that insurance information, I will put it with the word State Farm at the beginning, and then a dash, and then auto or State Farm dash homeowners or State Farm dash personal article policies again, so that when I want to get to my State Farm information, I can quickly just pull it all up together. I will also mention that it is important for you to go ahead and have maybe the address of your insurance carrier in that note as well. There's a space for that, and then there's also a space for you to put the phone number of your agent as well. This information is going to be so important for you if there was ever a national or a disaster of some sort where you needed to put your hands on this information very quickly and you couldn't get to your actual policy. Because this vault, there's an app that will sync to your phone, you will have access to all of this information at your fingertips. So that's why I also encourage people to use this for more than just password management. And then let's see, the last couple we have down here is information about your health insurance policies, memberships. I have on mine, so any clubs that you belong to or your Costco membership. And then I also have a secure note in mine. Rob's, it's not showing on Rob's right now, but where you can store the Wi-Fi password to your home, because I'm sure that many of you can probably think of a time when somebody asked you, you know, what's your Wi-Fi password so I can get in? And if you don't have a password on your Wi-Fi system, you might want to think about putting one on there and not just having it open for everyone to access. So that kind of is a really broad, high-level overview of how just the types of information that you can store in the LastPass vault. And so now I'm going to let Rob take it back over and show you how this works.
And I know it can kind of look like it's overwhelming at first, but it actually, as Laura pointed out, when you give some thought to how you name things, the most powerful thing in the vault is the search feature. So if you just want to find, your Visa cards or anything like that, you can just start typing up in the top and it's going to find it. And the best part is it also searches within the actual items in the vault. So, if you know something that's in there, then it'll return that value. So it's tremendously, I use the search just all day, every day. And I actually use it so there's a plugin in Chrome up at the very top right-hand corner of the browser. And so if you click on it, you can also do the same search up in the very top too. So if I needed my Alaska visa, I could just start typing Alaska and be able to find that information. So, all right. So I want to demonstrate how LastPass interacts with other websites, because it's very powerful in itself just to be able to digitally store all this information securely, but the magic really starts to happen, and you get dividends as far as how much time you actually can save by not having to, fill in forms and reset your passwords and enter your credit card numbers and all that type of activities that we kind of do on a daily basis. And most of you are probably cheating and putting all your credentials in Chrome. So when you start typing and the Chrome is in essence uh, storing information, and that happens if you go into your settings up at the top. You can see if you have this enabled, it will offer to save passwords and auto sign in. And you're like, well, hey, why shouldn't I use that? It's convenient. The simple answer is it's not secure. If you unintentionally get malware on your computer, you have literally just handed all those credentials and credit cards and passwords, usernames and passwords for all those sites over. Simple proof of that is a lot of times when I do LastPass installations, I offer to import the credentials from Chrome, and LastPass has absolutely no problem going into Chrome and retrieving those usernames and passwords and putting them into the vault. So it's just really, while it might be convenient, it is really not that safe at all. So I would discourage using that. So we're going to go ahead and we have our company online shop site. And so I'm going to emulate just purchasing an item on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and buy one of Laura's books here and add that to the cart. So I'm ready to check out. And I'm going to go into my checkout process. And okay, so I've never shopped here before, as far as I know. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to register for a new account here. Now, this is honestly the part that I absolutely can't stand. In the past, it's like, oh man, I got to fill out all this information. However, we can now use the vault. So what you will see right next to the first name right here is the LastPass plugin. So I can just go ahead and left click on this, and it's going to offer me a list of form fills right here. And I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to fill in my demo home address. So as you can see, it has already pre-populated all the relevant information in there. The second cool thing I really enjoy is, because it makes me feel good, is being able to generate a strong password for a website. So you'll see the little padlock with a circle. It's pretty tiny right down here. And so I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to click that. And what LastPass has done is it's gone ahead and it's offering a randomly generated password. If I don't like that one for some reason, I can hit the little reset button here. Now, and also in particular situations, certain websites want, symbols. So I can turn on symbols. I can make the password longer, which incidentally, about a 14-character password is really where you want to be. Computing power has grown to the extent that, like an 8 or 9-character password can literally be cracked in a day. I'm not kidding. Even if it's what you would consider strong. You can also do, this is kind of cool, easy to say or easy to read. I do notice that LastPass will try and avoid ambiguous characters. The one thing that used to drive me crazy is, well, is that an O or is that a 0? And then you kind of have to guess. So if you use that feature, it will generate something that kind of avoids that. So now I've got my perfect password here. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to fill that. And then up in my top right-hand corner, you can see that it is offering to add that into the vault. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add that in, and then I'm going to put in my little captcha, accept my terms, and I'm going to continue. And oh, I already registered this email address. Oops. So I must have done that accidentally last night. And the plugins also work on different Safari, Opera, Chrome, Firefox, Edge. So pretty much in any of those. I'm just going to go ahead and add okay, so now I've got my home address in there. I'm going to continue my purchase. So now I'm down to the credit card information. And this is, again, something that I absolutely love as a time saver, because I usually don't carry my wallet. And so then I'm like, oh man, where? So I got to track it down, find my card. So this way, it's stored in my digital vault, and then I can just go ahead and I can hit the number you can see up in the top right hand corner, and then I'm just going to go down to my demo Alaska Visa, and voila, it's filled out my card holder name, my expiration, my card holder, my CVV code. Everything's all taken care of. And then we can just go ahead and process the order, which is going to fail because it's a fake credit card number, but that's okay. But you can see essentially how much of a time saver that is. I literally didn't need to type in one value in that entire transaction. All of that was retrieved from the vault right there. And so what's happened on the back end here is we've created, that's my wrong. So I got to search my vault for it, apparently. Here we go. So we've created a vault item, which it has, and it's a password item. And so essentially what we have is we have the URL to the website, the name. Now, I usually will always kind of backtrack the name on it because mostly a lot of times because I do have a lot of different like logins for the same thing. So, you know, I'm going to say something along those lines. As soon as I learn how to spell cast. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to save that information back. And so now it's stored. So when I go ahead and I want to log into my account, then I'm going to log out. So now I'm registered. I want to get back in. I actually used a different one last night, but we'll fill this, I think. It's got, hang on one sec. I got to grab this password. We were demoing last night and I messed myself up a little bit. But you'll see, all right, now even if I change the password and it said I was registered. All right. I should be able to grab my password from here. So we can see that very safe one right here. I just actually, I changed my email address here. So let's save that. And I should be able, there we go. And now I'm logged back in. So one of the things about the plugin up in the top right-hand corner, the way that you can quickly determine whether or not you even have a login for a website is you'll see a number 1 up in your plugin indicating that that you have a vault item, and then if you click on the vault plugin, you'll actually see that item up there as well. So that way, now, if you had more than one login, say, then what you will see is you'll see a number 2 on the plugin right here, and then you would be able to click that, and then you could select whichever login that you wanted to use in order to access that site. Now, sometimes, websites they're trying to fight hackers from form filling their credentials, so that, because they're basically trying to guess what your password is and log in. So very occasionally you'll wind up with a situation where it doesn't really fill in. What you can still do is you can click on the plugin and then you can go to this little drop down and you can say copy password, and then you can just kind of manually fill that in and then go ahead and log in from there. So that pretty much is how that all goes together. Another cool thing, and I like, and it's a very good security feature, is you can launch the website directly from the vault item, and I like to encourage this for things like bank accounts, because what that avoids is it avoids you mistakenly mistyping Bank of America, and then what you unknowingly will have happen, or clicking on an incorrect Google listing too, is that you're now putting your real credentials into a fake site. And the nice thing about LastPass is that'll kind of prevent you from doing that, because if you went to a fake site that wasn't real, it wouldn't line up with the credentials that you had stored in there for where the URL was. And so you're not going to get that number saying that you have a valid account login to that location. So it'll kind of give you a little wake-up call, like, whoa, this isn't right. But just to be super secure, one of the things that you can actually do is you can go ahead and you can hit the launch button, and that was pretty fast. It form filled the password in seconds and logged it in, and then it just takes you to the website and logs you in. And one of the things that you can do, if you don't want it to log in right away, under advanced settings, you can disable the autofill, or you can enable the auto log on also, which will allow you. The site that I just demoed to was that's to our phone system. So it makes it super handy, and you can also launch that from the plugin up at the top. If I just wanted to go to 3CX right here, I can just type in 3CX without even opening my main vault, and I can go ahead and I can click that, and boom, I'm in. So, super convenient, super easy. You can use essentially what I do is just, I'm using my LastPass vault as kind of like Google, really, when I'm trying to, get into something. So if I want to go to a shop site or something to that, effect, then I can just jump right to a website. So that's pretty much the form fill aspect of it. Let's talk about how we doing on time here. We're doing pretty good. All right. So,
Rob?
Yeah.
I have some questions. Do you want to take a few questions?
Sure. I was just going to, well, talk about multi-factor authentication real quick since I've got a little bit of time.
Okay.
So one of the things that as kind of I wasn't sure if I'd get to this is the ability to add multi-factor authentication to the vault, and I personally use this actually as far as how I have it set up. And so essentially, what I'm doing is I'm using, and I can actually kind of hold this up here, a LastPass authenticator on my phone, and so what's happening is every time I log into my vault, I'm getting an additional security challenge. And what this essentially does is I could literally tell you my vault master password and you still can't get in, because if you tried, you would still need my phone. So the way this gets set up is actually pretty super simple. You're just going to go ahead and if I can remember. And I'll tell you, if you forget your, oops, incorrect master password. If you forget your master password, you're in big trouble. Because it's not stored anywhere, literally your vault is going to have to get reset. So that's kind of a big problem. So I'm just going to real quick, I've already downloaded the LastPass authenticator, so it's going to suggest that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the authenticator and I'm going to say to scan the barcode. You can see I've got a little camera here, and so I'm going to hold it up the correct way. It's now scanned the barcode, and it's going to make me set up a text message. That's fine. This is also just a backup. There really should be no excuse for anybody not to really set this up, because I just did this in like literally 3 minutes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out of my vault. And you can tell that the vault's logged out because the icon for LastPass is grayed out. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in my master password. And I'm going to log in. And now, as you can see, it's giving me, okay, and so what you can see on my phone up at the top, if you can, it's a little hard to see, is essentially it wants me to authenticate, and so it's giving me 1 minute and 30 seconds. So now I didn't touch anything other than I tapped on the authentication request. Yeah, and facial recognition works on as well in order, and then so all I have to do is I have to just hit the little green checkbox up in the top right-hand corner there, and I'm going to allow that, and then now you can see it's automatically let me into my vault. So I mean, it's really not terribly intrusive, and you can also set, if it's your desktop computer, you can set it to say, hey, just remember me for 30 days. If it's I lock my computer screen and it locks automatically all the time anyway, so it's not, and I mean, we're in a secure area, but on my laptop I don't. So if my laptop gets lost and my browser was open or whatever, then forget it. And you can actually revoke those settings in the account settings, as far as if it's a trusted device, for that. So that's pretty much it on the demo. I think we're ready to take some questions.
All right, I have a long list of them, but give me 1 second. I'm trying to send a link to someone.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And I would go ahead and keep typing your questions in the box, and I'm just going to take them kind of from the order that they were submitted. Megan wants to know, can you delete passwords from Chrome?
Yes, once they're imported, then you can, and I strongly recommend that, that you go ahead and just delete passwords and credit card data out of Chrome so that it's no longer in there. Absolutely.
And do you have to create new passwords different than what you were using in Chrome when you set it up in LastPass?
I would recommend, I mean, because odds are that, I mean, the majority of people are using the same password for many sites. And the simple fact of the matter is, I mean, we've been logging into different things for over a decade now that we're probably starting to, I mean, like I said, most of the time we have to reset it. But we've, you know, in the past, and I myself was guilty of this. I was like, hey, I'm just going to, you know, I had my banking password and I had like my shopping password and, you know, and then I had like my work passwords. You know, so you're probably really going to want to have what we call a password party where you're just going to sit down some weekend on a rainy day and just go through all your logins. There is a security challenge. So once you load your sites in from, you know, your web browsers and places like Chrome, you can go through the security challenge. It will identify all the items that are using duplicate or weak passwords. So that's a great tool to use in LastPass.
Rob, some people are saying that they can't hear me. I know you can, but
That's weird.
my
Let's
microphone
mute
is
you and
off.
unmute you again. I see your audio thing,
All
Megan.
right. Can you hear me now? Okay. All
I
right.
can hear.
Hear
Okay.
me. All right. Next question. Sunny wants to know, what type of vetting did the creators of LastPass have, and how do we know that it's secure?
The vetting was done because they made the source code publicly available. So essentially, the plugin was exposed as an open source platform, so that there's no hidden lines of code that's, you know, keyword grabbing anything. Additionally, they have what's called a bug bounty program that they subscribe to, and they welcome any hacker to try and get into their system. And if they succeed, then they reward them financially for exposing the bug. So that's how that happens.
Okay, and then she also wanted to know, is there a formula that someone could figure out what your passwords were?
Okay. For the people who can't hear, I'd recommend disconnecting and reconnecting probably. That'll probably solve the issue. Is there a formula for someone to figure it out? No, because now standard encryption, like, you know, what you use between kind of, you know, when you're logging into your bank, even also includes what's called an additional hash, because the problem is if you look at a standard security encryption key, it's kind of like a piece of straw in a pile of straw. The reason why it's secure is because you have to sit there and you literally have to try and match every single piece of straw in order to determine whether or not that's the magic straw. Because of the salting and the randomization, that actually adds additional strengthening. So it complicates the straw matching to where it's really difficult, because now you have to take multiple pieces of straw in order to match which one. So it's not just one straw, it's is 1,000 straws. So yeah, it's extremely, like I said, the mathematical computation required is extremely intense. So wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, I am, all right. Let's see, for the people that can't hear me, like Yvonne, can you let me know if you can hear me speaking now? Just type yes or no in the box. I'm going to ask the next question and I'll have Rob repeat it. Laura wanted to know about using Dashlane and what maybe the differences were. I had already mentioned that Dashlane was just another password manager, but maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, so when I started on my quest for a password manager, I looked at various different ones, 1Password, LastPass. Dashlane didn't exist at the time, and I can't remember what the third one was at the time.
1Password.
Well, 1Password, yeah, that was the first one. The reason why I settled on LastPass was because of the cross-platform compatibility. It has a great iPhone app. It has a great web app. The plugins are pretty simple, powerful, easy to use. Dashlane is, I mean, that's fine. It's another password manager. I did look at it because it's pretty recent. The one thing that they're trying to include is they sell a VPN component to it, and I mean, I don't really need that as part of the product. And I mean, VPNs are great in concept, but they're really hard to use in actual practice. So I don't really like the fact that they bundle a VPN into their product. And then the free product only limits you to 50 vault entries, which, as you can see, you'll go through in like no time at all. So that's kind of, LastPass has a free version. It has a lot of features for that free version. I'm sure at some point they'll probably start charging for it. We actually recommend if you have a household of more than one individual, just buy the family version, because then that gives you 6 copies of it. It's much more economical for that.
So that was a good segue into the next question that I have, which is, how do you deal with multiple users, and does a couple share one account? And you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I'll just kind of jump back into the vault real quick here. So yeah, one of the things, I mean, we didn't talk about, and we probably should have, is there's a sharing center. So really all you need, I mean, so you can create what's called a shared folder. I don't have I've got a demo account, so it's not going to let me do it. However, I can still share an individual item. The shared folder, the nice benefit of that is if you update the password in an item in a shared folder, the person who you're sharing with it works okay. One thing I found, and maybe they fixed it, was if I share, so the sharing on the item, you can is the the 2 heads over here. Now if I share over to Laura, now I can allow the recipient to view the password too if I want. Or this is great if you have an assistant and you need them to manage your Facebook page, but you really don't want to send, have to reset the password. So then that way they can actually log in without actually knowing what the password is. So that's a great thing. So once I've shared that, I think now I have to send a verification. This is my demo vault, so it'll work for everybody else.
Well, it's probably not working because it's not my normal email, right?
Yeah, I have to, let me see if I got a verification. Oh, there we go. I got the email. All right, thanks for verifying. Okay, so we're gonna jump in there. Let's give it another try. The other person just simply has to have LastPass, and you have to know what the email address is for that person that's using LastPass. And I say that because I actually don't use my regular email address for my personal vault. Just as a tiny little bit of extra security, I created an email alias that I only use for logging in from my vault. So as you can see now in the shared with others, I have a pending item. So Laura has to go in on her email and then she has to accept it. And then I can see anything that's been shared with me too. So, I mean, super simple in order to be able to share those items over with other individuals.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and click on the link.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
It's shared. So, all right.
I have a few more questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Martha wants to know about storing electronic documents in LastPass. And I know when I was doing that, because I was trying to actually scan certain documents, like I was scanning our life insurance policies and our other insurance policies and passports, things like that, and it ran out of space.
Yeah, you only get a very small amount of storage, and I mean, I think it's a good idea to, like, you can upload some scans, like Laura said, in limited things. But the problem is, because it does use such a heavy amount of encryption, it's kind of slow on coping with the large attachments. You want to really kind of keep them, as minimal size PDFs kind of thing. It's not a secure document storage library. The other issue is, if you attach a lot of things, it's hard to search because it's not going to search in the attached document. You will see on the vault item, there is an add attachment to pretty much every vault item type, but I'd kind of use it sparingly, and I would just go ahead and fill in the information into the actual item versus just saying health insurance policies, attach a scan and stick it in there. That's probably not going to be helpful down the road.
All right, Angela wants to know if you have any tips for creating a great master password besides just more than 14 characters.
Yeah, I mean, well, first thing is so when you set up your vault initially and you decide to create your password, actually write it down first. I can't tell you how many times I've had people, they type it in and literally they have forgotten what they said, what they created in 5 minutes, and then they have to go through and they have to destroy their vault and start over again. So as you're thinking about it, write it on a piece of paper and shred the piece of paper. It is okay. Password methodology. I don't want to digress too much, but the guy who originally was asked about passwords and he actually confessed that he really knew nothing about it, and that he just sort of made it up. And then we took this methodology and we used it for decade. It's okay to, like, string. I mean, you don't want to make it your dog's name 2020 with an exclamation point or something. I mean, that's not that great, but you could take bits of information from different places, like maybe you went on vacation and combine it with another favorite word and combine it with like your favorite number. and then just kind of put it together to where it's something that sort of makes like a story in your head. So when you're typing it, you just sort of can, it's easy to recollect because it's meaningful kind of thing like that. So.
Okay. Seema wanted to know what is the best way to get LastPass set up, and I'm going to combine these two with a question from Laura: is how do you set it up, and what's the best way to get started?
The best way to set it up is to go to lastpass.com, and I'll share my screen back up here. And I actually tell everyone, when you get to lastpass.com, actually go to the bottom of the website and just click in the left column, just go ahead and click download. And then what you will see is the list of all the different for platforms for Mac and Linux, the mobile platforms. And so what I actually recommend is don't just install the Chrome password. The best way to get everything working correctly is to go ahead and download and run, like for Windows, the LastPass universal installer. And then what that will do is it will just install the plugins on any and all browsers that you have, and then you're just kind of covered. And then it's just going to ask you to create an account. It doesn't ask for anything but your email address and your master password, pretty much. So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, I have a couple more questions, and then we'll probably wrap it up.
Okay.
Megan has a question. She says, when entering credit cards, when it asks for the expiration date, do you fill in 4 numbers or 2?
4. If the site only requires 2, the plugin's actually smart enough to give it the last 2. If it asks for the 4, it'll give it the 4.
Okay. And then let's see. Lisa wants to know if you can address the free version versus the premium version.
Sure. The free version versus the premium version, essentially, there's a lot of that additional features. You get more file storage because the free, I believe you only get like 100 megabytes. The premium allows you to create multiple shared folders. And so that you can have what they call one to many. It also enables a very important feature, which is called emergency access. And what emergency access is like Laura and I have it set up, and so I have delegated her to allow her to access my vault. Now what she can do is she can request access. It will send me an email, and if I do not respond in 3 days, it will grant her access to my vault, because we both have separate vaults. Mostly, I mean, for security reasons. There's no reason why not to keep them separate. But
we do have a family plan.
What's that?
I was going to say, but we do have the family plan.
Yeah, we do have a family plan. So because we share folders. But the reason why I picked 3 days is if we're traveling to Europe and we're on an airplane and, you're exhausted in time zones and things like that, you're not paying attention to email. If for some bizarre reason somebody requested it and I didn't see the email, so I just figure I just kind of stretch it out a little bit more. She already has default access through the share, so the time thing should not really be an issue. But that's handy. And then the premium, it also gives you additional multi-factor options. But I think the LastPass Authenticator works the best as far as that goes.
And then Angela was asking about on a Mac. It's Safari, the browser that you use there to connect it, correct? Not
by
Chrome?
default, yes. Yeah. I mean, you can use other browsers on the Mac, and there's plugins for the Chrome Mac browser as well. So.
Okay. All right. Well, right now I am not seeing any additional questions. I just want to add a couple of things before we end today. I'm glad that Rob brought up the emergency access, because I had a note that I wanted him to talk a little bit about that. I cannot stress enough how important that feature is, and to share it with loved ones, because you never know when something will happen and they need access to that. And I can tell you that from the work I have done with clients for 20 years, that I have seen situations where clients have needed to put their hands on this kind of information in a very stressful time. And the last thing that you want to do to a family member is add more stress at that time. So if LastPass is new to you, I would strongly encourage that you set it up for your family, set it up for your, add your children. If you don't have children, add someone else that can have emergency access to that. Just the other day, I was working remotely with a client to set her LastPass up. And I said, you've got the family plan. Let's invite your son to be able to have access to your stuff as well. Because what if you and your husband are traveling and something happens to both of you? Somebody needs access to all of that information. So, it's really important, and this makes it very easy for you to have all of this data documented, but also at your fingertips, because with the app that's available for your phones, you can have this with you anywhere. And some of us have a little bit of extra time on our hands right now. So I think this is a great project for people to be tackling right now. And as Rob said, have a LastPass party. That is what I originally did years ago when I started using LastPass. Believe it or not, many, many, many years ago, I had an Excel spreadsheet with a password on it that was encrypted. And I started with that password or that password spreadsheet. And then I got out my wallet and I literally sat at the table and went through and entered everything that I could think of. And every time I get a new credit card, it's an automatic trigger. I need to go into my vault. I need to update the security code. I need to update the 3 or 4 digit number. Anytime you get something new, be thinking, what do I need to do now to make sure that my information is staying up to date in the vault? If you get a new insurance policy, make sure that that is current. And, really take advantage of that. Sit down with your family and go over how to use this. If you are not sure how to set this up or get it installed, both Rob and I are available to work with you remotely. We do this every day with our clients, and we can spend an hour or two with you and get you underway. One of the clients I've been working with to get this all set up, we'll do a session for an hour or two, and then I give her homework, and she goes back and she does a bunch of the work, and then we come back and she asks me more questions. So if you find that you're getting stuck and you need that help, we're here to help. We can help you out with that. And I should mention, we did record this, so we will get it rendered and sent out to you sometime probably next week.
Yep.
I just want to thank you again, everyone, for attending. I hope that you found the content useful and that you can maybe start today, get going on this. And
we've got somebody who wants to say something. We got a couple questions first.
Sorry. Somebody wants to speak.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Can you let them, Rob?
For Stacy?
Stacy.
Is that who it is?
Yeah. Can you unmute her?
Sure. I see. Assume that was Stacy.
Stacy, are you there?
Maybe not.
All right.
You might not have a microphone. I don't know. One of the questions, will I still have to change my passwords frequently? No, I don't. And actually, Microsoft even now does not recommend. They're backing off on changing passwords every 90 days. The only time you really, and because if you set this up where every site has a unique password, if there is a breach, then you really only need to go into that one location and change that password. So I don't change my passwords frequently, other than my email password, and like Amazon, I actually change probably every 6 months. So that's about it.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We really appreciate you being here with us today. We hope that you found it useful.
Yeah.
And be well, be safe, and maybe we'll see you again on another future webinar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
for attending.
Bye-bye.